Hey guys, Tubrix here, and I'm back again with part 2 of this microscale Star Wars Fleet series. And I'm super excited to bring you guys the next model in the lineup, which is the first ship ever seen on screen in a Star Wars movie, the Tantive IV. And this is a really interesting one because when I was kind of testing out how big I could go with the ships in this series, I thought to myself, well, I mean, the Tantive IV is going to be way too big. I don't think I'll be able to do it. I think I'll just have to stick to smaller size ships. But then once I did it, I was just surprised by how easy it was to capture, and I've actually done fairly quite a bit bigger ships since then. So yeah, this actually seems kind of quaint now in comparison. So we'll take a look at some of the close-up details, and I'll show you guys some of the things I did to create this model. So I guess starting up here at the front section of the ship, one of the earlier things that I had to try to figure out is how to represent the hammerhead section in a way that was screen accurate. And actually it ended up being fairly simple because these 3x3 cone pieces worked out just great. And this stickered piece exists from various Clone Wars series, which just has the exact appropriate markings of the red with a gap in between that I felt like just captured that end cap perfectly. And having just a single stud on the side here is enough to connect both of these, and it holds itself together and it works really well. I have these two hollow studs left at the front right here, and that's actually something that's deliberate. It's detail in the ship. I guess it kind of looks like it would be docking rings or something, but I'm not really sure what function those serve, but those are there in the actual real thing as well. And I have it's kind of hard to see right here, this would be the windshield cockpit kind of area where the pilots would sit. This would be where Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Bail Organa are sitting as they pilot the Tantive in Episode 3 to go to try to dismantle the coded signal. Something that's really great about this ship is that it has this beautiful kind of red accent that runs right the way down through the ship. And I really wanted to capture that with a continuous unbroken line right through here. And if LEGO creates, well, they may have already, I have to double check, but if there is such a piece that fills in this gap right here, like a 2x2 wedge plate in dark red, I will definitely one day be replacing that right there just to eliminate this little gap right here and make it a little smoother. But we have the double laser barrels right here, which are able to rotate around. They're just sitting on a bar. Well, it's a little stiff right now, but I promise you those can rotate, and they can be angled up and down and fire behind the ship as well, which is really handy. And that assembly is kind of mirrored on the top and bottom, although on the bottom I don't have a kind of rounded cap like this, so I'm just using a hollow stud in white to plug that into that 2x2 rounded piece down there. I'm pretty happy with the length of the neck and the proportions of this area back here. I always felt like it was made to look a little stubby on official LEGO sets, but in the most recent one they also have elongated the neck to what I feel like is just perfect proportion, so that's really cool. Another thing that was really important to me as a detail is the fact that this notch exists in the real ship. It doesn't just kind of, come straight down, and the fact that these fins exist was just such a perfect match. Again, I just really couldn't believe my luck that such a thing is just perfectly equipped to give you exactly that angle right there. So I'm really happy with that. These represent what would be large laser cannons, but I didn't have anything that could fit into that gap right there without seeming oversized. Usually that would be something I would represent with a minifigure hand, but those are not able to plug into the tops of these. So you just have to use your imagination and pretend that there are some laser cannons there. Down here would be all the escape pods. These are the bases of levers that I've used to represent the ones that are still present, and these ones have been launched. I believe that the studio model does reflect 2 launched escape pods, so I tried to keep it as accurate as possible to what we see on screen, and that's what that is right there. Then moving back, something that I still feel like hasn't really been tackled appropriately is this kind of excellent fin detail that it's super elegant in the real model, where it starts back here and It just kind of continues through, and it just gives it such an organic flair right in the middle of the ship, and then especially when compared to these big bulky square engines back here, that I just feel like that was such a key element I really had to get right on this ship. And I've done my best, and I think I've done a fairly good job of it. I had to get the compound angle of it coming back and then curving down as well, and I achieved that using this hose pipe piece and then the clip that can accommodate a bar in it, and then just going down into this plate assembly right here and using the 1x4 wedge or 2x4 wedge plates to give you kind of, you know, that angle right in there. And I think it works out pretty well, and especially the fact that it continues into this, you can kind of imagine it going right through this assembly back here. I think that works out pretty well, and I think that's probably one of the hardest things to figure out on this ship, and one of the things that I'm most proud of, the way that it turned out. And on the underside of the ship right here, there's some kind of a docking bay that is represented in Revenge of the Sith, and I wanted to have some kind of a representation of an opening down there, and so I used the jumper 1x2 jumper plate to give you that detail, because there aren't any tubes in the inside of that plate, so it kind of looks hollow, and that's what that's supposed to represent. And there's also this sensor array back here, which is a cool looking thing, and I like that they didn't just, everything else on the ship is kind of mirrored top to bottom, and I like that they didn't just put another radar dish on the bottom. So I was happy to be able to represent that in there too. And I actually kind of looking at it, the ship from the top, you can see that there's a large array of different kinds of plate techniques involved in getting all the different angles. So for example, I have the fins attached to this one kind of 1x2 plate with bar attachment, and then there's these different 1x2 plate with bar pieces that just fill the gap perfectly between this angled plate right here, which is just attached using a standard hinge piece underneath. And everything just meets together really, really tight, really flush, and there's not really too much gapping, which I'm pretty happy with. And then moving to the back side of the ship, where there's just this gigantic array of engines. It's such a striking look, especially when you first see the ship fly past camera and you see all these engines back here. It's a really great detail and part of the ship. So I really wanted to make sure that I represented that as well as I possibly could. And each of the engines is a little bit individual in its design. You can see that I've used more gray in certain parts. There's more tan in certain parts. There's flat tiles versus regular plates. So yeah, there's a lot of asymmetry in the design, and that really, I feel like, captures the look of that kind of the beat up rebel aesthetic, where everything that they have is just scrapped together and barely held in with some duct tape. So that was something that I thought was really cool to be able to capture. Each one of these engines is only held on with a single stud on top of a jumper plate, and that's because I wanted to have this design where the core of each engine is created using the bricks with stud on the side, the modified brick with stud. And so to be able to do that, I just needed this single stud width in the middle and then plates on the side. So that meant that I had to connect it using only one stud. But the engines do hold themselves in place pretty well, and having this wedge plate in the front kind of gives it a little bit of extra support, so it doesn't feel like it wants to just bow all the time. And then I also have this plate under here, which kind of acts as an extra support as well. So it kind of keys in pretty well, and it holds itself together, and I'm satisfied with it. It's never fallen apart or anything on me, so that's good. I have these two little white lightsaber hilts to represent this interesting kind of double piping detail back here. And also, something that I really love about the kind of overall design is this section right here, where the two engine assemblies kind of fork off, and then it has this, again, the continuation of that red stripe through there, and then ultimately that's where it terminates. And I just feel like that's such a great feature of this ship. Oops, this piece is out of line. That I just really love that about it, and I wanted to make sure that that was captured even down into the engine section. This escape pod, or no, sorry, these aren't escape pods. I'm used to the Lego sets representing these as escape pods. This would be docking bay. I have actually a 2x2 rounded reddish brown plate in here instead of dark red, because I don't believe Lego has a 2x2 reddish dark red plate that exists in their current collection. But if one ever becomes available, that will get replaced. And then using these wheel pieces back here with the kind of spoked ends, I think really invokes the look of the engines on the studio model. They really do have a kind of interesting design like that in the ends of it. And that's something that I was, again, super lucky to be able to have 11 of those parts to represent the exact look that I wanted. No compromises needed back there. So that was great. So there you have it. That is the Tantive IV. I've taken a pretty close look at it. I hope I showed you guys all the different features on it that you would want to see. And I was just shocked by kind of how, I guess, small it is in comparison to other ships, because when I was a kid and I watched the movies, I didn't really have too much of an idea of the scale of things. And so one of the really fun parts of the series has been getting to really see all the ships side by side, you know, and compare and say, okay, well, that is the Millennium Falcon next to the Tantive, and get a good sense of that. So that's been a really fun kind of discovery as I've been going through this series. And some of the ones that I'm going to show you, I'm actually super surprised by either how big or how small they actually are in real world space. So that'll be fun. So yeah, I'm going to get to work on the next video for you guys. And hopefully you're enjoying the series so far. I would love it if you are enjoying it, to give it a thumbs up and comment and subscribe and all that, you know, YouTube stuff. And again, if you didn't enjoy the video, please do leave a thumbs down and a comment to let me know how I could improve in future. This is something that's really important to me, is you know, growing and improving, getting better, just creating content that you guys enjoy more. So that really helps me out. So until the next one, I'll see you guys, and may the force be with you.